Welcome back, everyone. Today's quick tech tutorial is going to be on assignments in Teams. It is very easy, very convenient, and I think you will be able to use the heck out of this. So you should have everything set up in Teams like I showed you last episode. If you've not had a chance to do that, go ahead and check out the last episode to get Teams set up. After you've done that, go to the class which you want to assign something and go ahead and click on Assignments. So as you can see here, this class has already had a couple assignments, but I'm going to show you how to create a new one. The assessment that I'm going to be giving my psychology class is going to be in two different types. The first is going to be through a Microsoft form. The second is going to be an actual document that they will edit and submit. On the right here, you can see the Microsoft form that I have created. If you've not created one of these, they are really nice for multiple choice, short answer, that kind of stuff. Because what you can do is you can put in all the options and then mark the correct one and then make it so they shuffle, and it basically grades it for you. The DOK is fairly low, but that's why you want to supplement it with something short answer or essay, which is why I'm going to be using the second type, which is a simple Word document. Once you have created your form, you can hit preview and it will show you what your form will look like to your students or whoever your intended audience is. As you can see, this one's fairly straightforward. What part of the brain is this? Boom, they've got some options. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click share, and then I'm going to make sure this says only people in my organization can respond. It probably doesn't matter. I don't think anyone else cares to take a parts of the brain assessment, but you never know. Only people with my organization can respond, and right here is a direct link to this form. I'm going to copy that. Over here in assignments, create. This is going to assign to 2A psychology, every student in that class. This is going to be parts of the brain assessment. You can put some additional instructions in here if you want. And I am going to add a resource, and that resource is going to be a link. I'm going to go ahead and paste the link that I copied in there, and the text it's going to display is going to say the Microsoft form response. Attach. So that's the first thing that they are going to have. The second thing is going to be the Word document. So it opens up to OneDrive by default, which is super convenient. The place where I left it is in psychology, parts of the brain, and then brain assessment 2018-2019. So what that looks like is this right here. So I've got parts of the brain that are numbered, and they have to go in and write at least one function of the brain, and then all the way at the end are a few short essay questions. So I got a good mix in here, some short answer, some multiple choice, some essay for these students to complete. So this is going to be for 2A tomorrow. So what I want to do is time due. Let's see, what time does class end? So I'm going to have this due at 11 o'clock because class gets out at 11:03, and I'm actually going to set it to schedule later. That way students can't get an early start on it, and that is going to assign tomorrow morning at 9:30. So the students won't have access to it until 9:30, and they will have to have it done by 11 o'clock. I will have late turn in allowed turned on, that way they will be able to do that. And then Microsoft Teams keeps track of points. You can choose to turn that on or off. I have it off because I'm using standards-based grading. And then if you need to, you can upload a rubric right here. Alright, so all of our fields are filled in. We've got the link to the Microsoft Forms. We've got the brain assessment. Go ahead and hit schedule. Just like that. You can see it right up here. Here's where we are, Wednesday, October 17th, and we've got this assignment that is due tomorrow. So let's go ahead and look at a assessment that I gave a previous class, and you can kind of see how this turns out. So let's go to 3B, Myths and Legends, assignments. So you can see here we had an assignment on creation myths and then Hercules and Heracles. So we've got here the assessment form. This is what the students would have seen. This was a fairly simple assessment. This is just the difference between the Heracles myth and the Heracles myth and the Hercules Disney movie. Did this thing happen in the myth or the movie, or both? And then at the end we had some short answer questions. Now this has some advantages and disadvantages. Now the advantage to this is that forms will tell you whether they responded correct or incorrect to multiple choice questions, but it can't do that obviously for essay questions. So when you go in and you view their responses, you can do that. For example, if I want to go over here to forms, you can go down to these responses for these questions, and you can click more details, and here are their responses to those questions. Now this is really nice. It's all in one spot. You can grade the exact same question for a bunch of students. The only downside to this is they can't see their responses. So when you go through and you grade it and you say, oh, I like what you said about this, but this other thing you said wasn't incorrect, they have no way of referencing back to their assessment they turned in, which is why I went with a Word document for my most recent assessment on the brain instead of putting the essay questions on forms. Okay, so this is another cool thing. You can go back and you can see some metrics on questions you had on your assessment. This is really good for the multiple choice stuff. I can see here that most of the students knew that Zeus was the father of Heracles and Hercules in both the myth and the movie, which is great. Now, if we go down here, I think I was a little unfair to the students on, let's see, which question was it? Wearing the Nemean lion as a cloak. Now, this technically happened in the movie for not very long, and a whole lot more students got it wrong than got it right. So I felt like this was an unfair question, and I addressed it accordingly. I did not hold this against the students. This was on me. So this is a great tool for you to use to actually see how the students are doing. This is very useful both in formative and summative assessments. All right, so the other thing I'd like to show you is what you can do to review things that students have turned in. So we're going to go back to Creation Myths Assessments, and what I'm going to do is hit Review. And as you can see, a bunch of students turned some stuff in, which is great. So I'm going to go ahead and click on any of these that says Turned In. And what I did here is I uploaded a Word document that the students went through and manually edited. For example, this student right here correctly named these hieroglyphics as a primary source and then explained why it's a primary source, which is great. And then we had some questions about other creation myths here. What kind of creation myth story featuring the spider grandmother? And then that student explained that it was an emergence type because it goes through multiple worlds before stopping in one, which is correct. So the cool thing about this is that I can go over here to feedback and I can leave that student feedback on how they did on this assessment, which by chance, I didn't even look to see who this was and I clicked on it. This person did really well. If a student doesn't do very well and you want to give them specific feedback, you can enter that in feedback and then return it right here. So when they get the assessment back, they can see that direct feedback from you. As I mentioned, this is not available through forms, so that's why I suggest when you give them an assessment with essay questions, do it with a Word document that you have attached to the assignment. Anything that is multiple choice, go ahead and use forms. It's much more convenient. It's much easier on you. So do that. All right, if you have any questions about anything I've covered today, or if you want any other subjects covered here on Quick Tech Tutorials, please let me know, and have a great day.